one thing you can do is slow things down if it gets too fast and full. Yeah, I can do better than that. One more try. Okay, I'm a bit rusty at this one. So what's next in this progression? This is another jam game I made called Boltfist. This is really simple as well, but it's got some nice track screens, so I'm just going to leave those on. The rules are you're a herd of bulls, which are a little bit unwieldy and hard to move. If you find wounded bulls, you pick them up, and that makes you stronger. The stronger you are, the more things you can destroy. If you manage to get to 6 bulls, then you can destroy all capitalism. So it's really simple. It's takes about a minute to play all the way to the end, and it's mechanically there's nothing except moving and collecting. And then the game gives you a rank at the end, which is always comrade. Let's see, what else have I got? Yeah, probably the last one. This is the same sort of thing. It's got random waves within, semi-random patterns. But this one is a shooter with no mechanics. You just move around and try to stay alive, and it tries to make that as hard as possible by being super noisy. So this is how it looks. So the title is something randomly generated I got out of the internet. I just punched in a gibberish generator. So, although this looks pretty noisy and ridiculous, it's actually it's far simpler than most of my shooters. There's a single enemy type. There's nothing to do except move, and the whole goal is just surviving as long as possible. So it actually feels like something of a refinement. After this, I made quite a lot of jam games the year I made this, and I was purposely trying to avoid making shooters because I wanted to make bigger, more ambitious things. So I didn't really do anything again until Hexagon, which I made. No, it's not in here. So I made this in a couple of hours for a game jam. And it just started out as a game where, right, you've got an octagon in the middle of the screen and you avoided stuff that came in. And the kind of decisions I made in this game were things like, well, it just felt better to have 6 sides than 8 sides, for example. It's Here's the main problem with Hexagon. After 30 seconds, it stops getting more difficult. It's quite shallow. There are people who have high scores online. They boast about where they've lasted for 1,000 seconds. They've heard the song repeat like 4 or 5 times. And that's possible because once you've got to that point, there's nothing above it. It's just, it's kind of shallow. But I loved a lot about this game when I made it for the pirate car, and I wanted to kind of explore properly, which is where Super Hexagon came out of. The first thing I actually did was make a new track, which I don't think I've really shown before, but I found one of Chip Shell's songs, Focus, and I made the same thing, basically, except it's much faster, and I wanted to see how that would feel, and it turns out it feels pretty good. So it felt pretty obvious to me that as this got faster, it's actually a hell of a lot more fun, which is the direction I started taking Super Hexagon. I think that's other prototypes, because the next thing I started working on was Super Hexagon itself, and I've already talked about that. So, okay, I am out of things to show. Does anyone want to ask me questions? Yeah, I showed you the hardest mode, the white screen.
So you've obviously been genetically modified in some way. Have you heard of other human beings that beat that? Is that quite normal?
I checked the other day, and 0.04% of people who've got it on iPhone have beaten the game, which is higher than I was expecting, like a week in. I'm actually worried I've made it a little too easy. It should be hard. It should be a real challenge that you overcome. And if somebody can finish it in a day or two, then it's maybe not hard enough. Yeah. I haven't been genetically modified. I don't know. I just played the game a lot while developing it. Because the game is... it's really all about what feels good. So it was tuned to kind of a stupid degree. I mean, I was playing it more than I was making it. That's why it took 4 months. I mean, it's quite a simple game, but I was playing it so much that... I was just making tiny tweaks every time I changed it, just little iterations. Anyone else?
You got a wireless mic and you can bring it back? Hi, I just want to know, where did the inspiration for the title come from?
Nobody believes me when I say this, but I was trying to choose a title that wouldn't stick. And I get really attached to placeholder titles. And with V, I want to just pick like a random smattering of letters or something that I just wouldn't stick with, so I could come up with a title that really fit the game. And as it happens, I just smash the keyboard and I hit V a lot of times. And I'd say, oh, what if I just called a game V, just a bunch of Vs? It was originally like 11 lowercase Vs or something. And then as the game evolved, it was like 8 Vs, and then finally it was 6 Vs. I got really attached to that, stupid as it was, just because it felt kind of unique to me. And what actually happened is that fed back into the game a lot, and it started becoming part of the game in its own way. So the game has a bunch of meanings for that now. I mean, the spikes are VVV shapes. The characters are all shaped like V's with heads. They all have names that begin with V's. You know, there's a whole bunch of reasons for the name now, but when it started, it was just a placeholder that wouldn't stick. So.
Anybody else? All right. Terry, thank you so much for
Great.
coming. Really cool.
Thank you very much.